started, hit that like, that share, and that subscribe button so that you will be notified whenever I go live or drop a video. Now let's get into it. Okay, y'all, so we have a story that is developing out of Birmingham, Alabama. It is about a Atlanta dancer and CEO who was found dead in a Birmingham shed. His partner is named as a person of interest. Deundray Cottrell's body was found 2 days after he disappeared from his sister's home in Birmingham on July 4th. He and his partner, Julian Mars, were visiting. There are more questions than answers about what happened to a 31-year-old man after he was found dead in a shed following his disappearance in Birmingham, Alabama. Deundray Cottrell, who had lived in Atlanta for about 10 years, had deep ties to Alabama. He graduated from Woodlawn High School in Birmingham in 2011 and Jacksonville State University in 2012. His sister, Angelica Cottrell, described her brother as a dancer, a bartender, masseuse, and a student working on his doctorate. He was not afraid to do the work, she said. She also always believed that he was bound for big things at a very young age. My brother's personality was just too big for Birmingham, she said. Angelica and her family are now searching for answers about this mysterious disappearance and death. Deundray arrived at his sister's home in Birmingham on the 4th of July with his partner, Julian Mars, around 6 p.m. It's interesting because Deundray normally has such a busy schedule and it is not normal for us to see him around the 4th of July, Angelica explained. But this holiday was different. She noted that it was unusual for Deundray to visit without his other partner, Derek. Deundray was a dancer and the CEO of Ski Boys Entertainment, a male trio dance group based in Atlanta that included Julian and Derek. Derek has been around my brother for over 14 years, Angelica said, noting that Julian had only been in the picture since 2020. Despite the oddity of the situation, Angelica said they had a good time and Deundray assured her that everything was fine between the trio. It was about 9 o'clock when the kids went out to shoot off fireworks, and that's when Deundray decided he would go in and check on their dog, she explained, adding that was the last time she saw her brother alive. An hour later, Angelica said Julian came out calmly and said Deundray had jumped out a window. The family immediately began searching for him, but Julian stayed back eating barbecue. He was way too chill, Angelica said. Birmingham police got involved around 11 p.m. on the 4th of July, and the following day, officers found a piece of Deundray's clothing near where he disappeared. A neighbor's home security footage showed Deundray in distress. And on July 6th, officers found Deundray's body in an abandoned shed 1 block from where he went missing. The Jefferson County Medical Examiner's Office ruled his death a homicide. Police have named Julian Mars a person of interest, but have not identified him as a suspect despite online reports. Birmingham police said Julian was not contacted their homicide unit. We need to speak to him as soon as possible, police said in a press conference. Angelica said she last saw Julian after asking him to leave her house following Deundray's disappearance. He was acting out of it, she said. Everyone was searching and he was eating barbecue. No sense of urgency. Angelica said she offered for him to stay at their mom's house just up the road. A few hours later, Julian woke them up and tried to get back to their home. She said they called the police and put him on trespass notice. She said up until his body was found, Julian was calling her brother's phone like non-stop calls all day. He called, he sent text messages, he sent music through the text messages. Just the craziest of things, she said. So she said she wanted to thank Atlanta for embracing him, giving him his wings, allowing him to experience things that he possibly never would have. Angelica said, my entire family is so grateful to everybody that has loved him, hugged him, encouraged him, motivated him. We're incredibly grateful to everybody. Wow, so that is a story that is coming out of Birmingham, Alabama. If there are any updates on this story, I will give you all the updates on that. So with that being said, I hope you all have a blessed day. Thank you for joining me, and keep this family in your prayers. Until the next time, I'll see you on the next video. Peace.
4th of July is always a memorable weekend for all the right reasons, right? Like family and friends and fireworks and barbecues and all that. But an Alabama family will never see that holiday the same way. Last week, Deundray Cottrell, a doctoral student and a professional dancer in Atlanta, came to visit them in Birmingham, Alabama. He wanted to celebrate the 4th with his sister Angelica and her family. But during the fireworks, Deundray decided to duck back inside the house to check on the dog, because, dogs are afraid of loud noises. That's not unusual. What was unusual, though, he didn't come back outside for a full hour. And that's when his sister says Deundray's boyfriend, Julian Morris, just calmly announced that Deundray had jumped out a window and run off. So everybody else jumps into action, right? Begins searching, except that boyfriend. He didn't. He instead returned to the table to keep eating. So Deundray's sister says that boyfriend's behavior seemed so odd that she kicked him out. And then a few hours later, when he returned, she refused to let him back in. And then police found Deundray's clothing and his phone in the yard, and neighbors had a ring cam reportedly showing him running through the neighborhood and jumping a fence nearby. Sadly, on Saturday, police found Deundray's body. It was a block away and inside the shed of an abandoned house. His death has been ruled a homicide. And now that boyfriend, Julian Morris, has vanished. A search is now underway, and police are calling him, quote, a person of interest in Deundray's, quote, suspicious death. They're also offering a $5,000 reward for information on his whereabouts. And I'm joined now by Angelica Cottrell, Deundray's sister, and Tim Cottrell, Deundray's brother. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show. And first of all, my heart goes out to you with the loss that you've just been through. I can't imagine what you're going through. But then there's this added piece of Deundray's boyfriend just running off and disappearing. Have you had any updates? And Angelica, I'll start with you. Have the police said anything to you about the case?
No updates as of yet. No, ma'am.
So it's such an odd sequence of events at the party, right? Julian just makes this weird announcement and then goes back to the table and starts eating. Was there something else about his behavior other than that glaring red flag that made you think maybe right away that he might have been involved in this?
It was really his sense of calmness, his lack of urgency, just the fact that he was so laid back and he didn't display any of the fear or anything that family members were displaying at that time. It was just nonchalant, calm, and nothing that he said made sense.
It didn't match the sequence of events as they were unfolding. It sounds that way. Anyway, Tim, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were asked to identify your brother's body. Did you see any visible injuries or marks or anything that would be part of this case or be a telltale about anything?
No, when viewing his body, there was nothing but a little dirt on his face from where he had been, but no physical bodily harm to him.
And the police haven't said anything to you? Have they given you a cause of death yet or a suspected cause of death? Have they said they have a theory about how he died and how he ended up in the shed?
Yes, they say my brother was murdered by strangulation.
They've at least said that?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they go any further? I mean, I know that they've said that Julian Morris is a person of interest, but did they go any further and suggest that they've discovered any other evidence? Do they seem baffled by the sequence of events?
They haven't gone any deeper with us as far as the case, but as far as just the entire events leading up to my brother's death, they were kind of taken back, and it kind of I seen a lot of police officers be emotional behind the missing of my brother.
And the ring cam shows him running through people's yards and jumping a fence. Did anything there make any sense? Was I missing a detail? Because that just seemed sort of odd.
Nah, you almost like us. We just couldn't understand why he would be running or jumping fences. But later along the line, we kind of figured out why. And it just threw us in a loop.
So, Angelica, is this correct? I think I've seen or read something where you've said that Julian Morris, who's now, wanted, right? They're saying he's a person of interest, this boyfriend, that he called your brother's phone nonstop until your brother's body was found. Did he ever talk to you guys? Did he ever call you guys and ask for an update?
No, ma'am. There was never a time that he called us for updates. It was more so us constantly reaching out to him, having questions about, Dee's last whereabouts, what was said before he supposedly jumped. We just had a lot of questions for Julian, but in the midst of those conversations, he revealed to me that he had put my brother in a house. So I feel like the conversations that we had were very, very detrimental to this case.
Well, it's just so incredibly confounding, and I want to, keep up with you both and listen if there's any updates. We want to continue covering this story, and certainly we want to help, to track down Julian Morris. Thank you, Angelica Cottrell and Tim Cottrell. I really appreciate you being on, and again, our deepest condolences go to you and your family tonight.